sitting in my office and the version come in and running out to my wife said, "Oh my God, they've done it. This is it." Hi, this is Michael Gray and this is my story of the weekend. Well, I grew up with 4 elder sisters and 2 of them was very much into a lot of soul music, George McRae, all these sort of records. And I ended up sort of getting into that. And one of my sisters started dating a DJ. And of course, I was already into that. And by the age of 9 or 10, my dad had made me these 2 turntables in one unit so I could mix between the 2. And then by the age I was 12, I was DJing under 16s discos once a month. When I was 18, I started getting into clubs. Early 20s came and I wanted to start working for this company called Disco Mix Club, where the word mega mixes were used. And I was mega mixing out other people's records. And that was 1990, and by then I thought, right, I've achieved what I want to do, mixing other people's records. Now I want to make my own records. I brought in a friend of mine who was a great keyboard player, John Pern. We started making records under the name of Greed. After that, this would have been about 1995, I set up a new name called Full Intention. So what we did, we changed our names to American names to fool all the DJs who might not normally play our records. We did a track called I Love America and we imported it in under different name and the record blew up. We had everybody from Pete Tong to Armand Van Helden, everybody. I had enough of producing, remixing as Full Intention because record labels, particularly the major labels, would be coming to us and say, "Can you do a remix just like the last one?" And when someone starts telling you to do it like the last one, you can see your creativity going out the window and you'll just become a machine. And I'd had enough. I went to Simon Dunmore at Defected and I said, "Oh, would you have a listen to some of these tunes?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll offer you an album." So he offered me an album deal, but he said, "Not as Michael Gray, as M." Oh, okay, yeah, right, okay then, M it is. I just want the deal. If you say it's M it's gonna be, and you don't argue with Simon Dunmore. I went for a year of not producing any house music to try something completely different. I produced a group called Portobello, which was a post-punk sound. And then after I'd finished that, I thought, I'll go back to a record that I had worked on a year ago, but then I'd stopped. And that was a track called The Weekend. About a year before that, I just put down this idea that I heard from an Oliver Cheatham record, Get Down Saturday Night. Melodically, that is so strong. I can't believe no one's thought about this. So I got Shenna in, and I got another fantastic singer called Xavier, who'd sung on previous records with us. And I said, "Can you just change it to I Can't Wait for the Weekend to Begin?" We changed the chords, and then I didn't know what to do with it. So I just left it, and then that's when I came back a year later after finishing Portobello, and within about a day, 2 days, everything just fell into place. The joke of it was, I actually could wait for the weekend to begin at the time. I had twin boys who were 1 and an elder son who was 3. There was only 18 months between them. And the weekend for me, coming out of my studio, was full on, absolutely full on. There was no partying. I actually stopped DJing for a year and a half. Yeah, for me, I couldn't wait for Monday to begin because I had peace and quiet in my studio and I could concentrate. I took it to my record label, my management at the time. They didn't have a label, I Industries, Rob and Marco. And I said, I sent the track off to them and I didn't hear anything back. And I thought, oh, well, they don't like it. And then I chased them up and they said, "Yeah, fella, give us a couple of days." And I was like, "We like it." They got back to me and said, "Oh, we've got a deal with UMTV." They said, "We're going to do 3,000 white labels and we're going to ship it out, a lot of them to Ibiza." That summer, it was just as it was, the 12-inch with just the vocal, and that was it. They said, "Right, we know we've got something, we need to write some verses for radio. And these guys from Brighton came back with something that just blew us away, Jim Irvin and Sally Still. And the way they did it, I thought was so quirky and different. I remember Friday afternoon when it came in, sitting in my office and the version coming and running out to my wife, said, "Oh my God, they've done it, this is it."
I have to get my kids and fly tonight. And when the clock strikes 6 on Friday night, I need to blow it all away. I can't wait for the weekend to begin. I can't wait for the weekend to begin.
I got into the top 10 at number 7. We had so much competition, Eminem, Kylie, Beyonce. From a sales point of view, it did really well. It could have even been 1 or 2 if I hadn't have had to be released that week with those others. Doing Top of Pops was quite a buzz, just going there for the day really, because as a kid you grow up thinking, oh God, imagine being there, even as an audience member, and then suddenly you find yourself there. And it's live, which makes it a lot more nerve-wracking. I've never seen so much chaos go on the set. But I remember Kylie Minogue being on the opposite stage across there and us waiting. I remember being told to stand on this part that said X, but I was right at the back. And of course it was live, so I didn't know what it was going to look like when it came out. And then at the end, the camera goes over to me, and there's me looking really like cheesy. I don't ever look at the performance because I'm embarrassed about that bit at the end. I don't know who that producer was, but I'd like to have a word with them. I wanted something that was slightly robotic. I loved one of the Daft Punk videos. I think it might have been Around the World. And of course, obviously before that we had Call on Me, so everybody's mindset was in these girls dancing. I remember going down to Pineapple Dance Studios the day before to watch them do the rehearsal, which was quite a buzz. And you just think, God, this is really happening. You're like, you can't believe it's happening. I remember the budget. I remember it going over budget. It was £21,000, and they said, we just got to put a call in, see if we can get another 2,000 because we've gone over time. But when I look back over the video and I just think, oh my God, this is brilliant. But we didn't realize it was going to be as iconic as it is now. It kind of blew me away. I went through a period about 2012. I was just getting fed up of having to play the record in every club around the world. Kind of people and promoters expecting you to play commercial records like that. And you're like, that's not what I do, I play new records. It's not until about 2017 I noticed people were sending me videos of really big name DJs playing it to huge festivals. I mean, 20, 30, 40,000 people. And you're like, oh my God. It's like it had become cool again. So it's interesting. I didn't think it would span so many generations. Now I'm extremely proud of it.